Hello? Hi, sweetheart. It's wonderful to hear your voice again, Karen said. I have to admit, it was quite a challenge finding a new phone number for either of you. So, how are things going on your end? Karen asked softly, attempting to conceal her excitement while masking the fear and sadness she truly felt. Ashley hesitated momentarily before opting for caution. New phone, who's this? Ashley interjected. Ashley, for goodness sake, it's me, your mom. I apologize for not calling sooner, but I hoped you'd recognize your mother's voice after all these years, Karen replied, her tone tinged with frustration. Ashley smiled faintly. She immediately recognized her mother's voice, but chose to proceed with extreme caution given the circumstances. Her carefulness also allowed her to address her absent mother's emotional absence without appearing rude. "Oh, hi, Mom," she finally responded. "You caught me off guard, and I was just being cautious. I don't want to fall prey to some telephone stalker." Ashley paused again, contemplating before objecting to her mother's claim of loving and raising her for over 17 years. She maintained her composure, but wasn't willing to forego expressing polite disagreement. "Mom, I don't believe the past 3 years qualify as your care or affection. I was almost 14 when you left, and this call marks the first contact from you in 3 years. I'm already 17 and have been without your maternal love for a long time." Karen sighed heavily. "I'm truly sorry, Ashley. Back then, everything was incredibly challenging, and I felt I had no choice but to leave. But let's not dwell on that. I genuinely called to check on you and possibly speak with your siblings if they're around. Now that things have settled, I intend to be more present for you. I hope we can reconnect, sweetheart, and you can enjoy the benefits of having a wealthy mother. With Tom and I married, there's much I can do for all my children, you, Brittany, and Jake. Our life now is far better than it was with your father. Don't misunderstand, darling. Your dad is a good man, but he couldn't provide the luxuries Tom does now. He pampers me daily, and I adore it." Karen's voice brimmed with enthusiasm. "Now, I want to show you kids what real life is about the way it's meant to be. I'll also make up for those challenging years when we struggled due to your father's modest income. Hopefully, this will alleviate the guilt of leaving you abruptly." By this point, Ashley could barely contain her anger, simmering with resentment. She deeply loved her father, John Mercer, and admired him for shouldering the responsibilities of single parenthood and enduring the heartache when Karen departed. John had to step up as a single parent, raising two daughters, one grappling with teenage issues, the other just 10 alongside a wild 20-year-old son. Ashley also took immense pride in her father's transformation of their lives following her mother's departure. Prior to leaving, Karen emptied all the bank accounts, plunging the family into a financial crisis worse than Ashley could recall. At 14, young Ashley assumed the role of a homemaker, striving to assist her family's survival. United, the father and children endured a challenging period lasting over 8 months. Then life became more manageable as her father enacted significant changes, and now it's entirely wonderful. It would have been quite easy for Ashley to simply blame the main source of their suffering, her mother. In her 14th year, Ashley's well-known fiery temper lay in wait, ready to pounce. Suddenly, she experienced a wave of utter calmness, comprehending how to conduct herself and what she needed to do in a conversation with her mother, and it was marvelous. If she had confronted Karen at that moment, her mother would undoubtedly have hung up, and Ashley might never have reconnected with her. It wouldn't have benefited anyone, and Ashley truly desired to maintain a relationship with her mother despite her numerous mistakes. Embracing the feeling of calmness, Ashley decided how to proceed. She would voice her perspective, highlighting her mother's errors yet simultaneously preserving the opportunity for the continuation of the relationship between the children and their mother. Yes, it was the correct approach. The young woman grinned broadly and suggested to Ashley that she might have just learned a significant life lesson. She excitedly told her mother about her stunning appearance and promised to send a picture using her phone's camera, asking her not to hang up. Ashley positioned herself in front of the mirror on her bedroom closet door, sunlight streaming through the window as it was around 4 o'clock in the mid-June evening. She smiled brightly into the mirror, showcasing her weak gold hair styled in an elegant updo and her full-length lavender evening dress, which elegantly hugged her feminine figure. The floor-length dress was complemented by long white gloves ending just above her elbows, symbolizing Ashley's transformation from an awkward girl into a mature young lady. She took a couple of pictures, selected the best one, and promptly sent the selfie to her mother's cell phone. Impatiently, she asked if her mother received the photo and urged her to share her thoughts. A long pause followed, during which Karen reflected on the impact of the past 3 years on her blossoming daughter. Karen expressed her amazement at Ashley's beauty, struggling to find the right words as she fought back tears and a lump in her throat. She then expressed how much she missed Ashley and acknowledged her daughter's immense growth, questioning her own actions. Despite Karen's confused murmuring, Ashley proceeded. She mentioned how stunning Brittany would be, and went to her younger sister's room where she found Brittany putting the final touches on her long, thick honey brown hair with an elegant updo framing her face. Brittany's hair cascaded down in gentle curls, her large blue-gray eyes and soft features captivating many. Brittany's face was strikingly beautiful, with her slightly upturned nose and dimpled smile adding to her charm. Like Ashley, Brittany was dressed in an evening gown, exuding delicate elegance, albeit in a more understated manner compared to her older sister's attire. "Hey, B, come on, pose for a photo. Mom's on the line, and I'll send her your picture," Ashley said, circling around her sister to find the perfect angle to capture Brittany. Assisting her was a woman around 35, also donned in an evening gown designed to make a lasting impression. This woman exuded a regal beauty that turned heads wherever she went. She noticed the smartphone aimed at her and Brittany and started to step out of the frame, but Ashley intervened, gesturing for her to stay put. "No, Janice, stay right there. I want you in the photo too," Ashley insisted. Brittany, still a bit surprised, eventually rolled her eyes and, cupping her hands around her mouth like a megaphone, shouted towards the phone, "Hello, ma'am. Can't chat now, but let's catch up later." Moving around the room, Ashley snapped several shots of Brittany and Janice before signaling they were done. "All set, ladies. I'll pick the best one and send it off." After a pause, Ashley held the phone to her ear and exclaimed, "I bet you wouldn't recognize Brittany now. I mean, Mom, B even has curves." Brittany blushed and retorted, "Ashley, you're such a dork." "Be quiet," but a shy smile crept onto her face as the other women giggled at her playful embarrassment. Prompting Ashley to refocus on the phone, she asked, "So, what do you think, Mom?" Karen struggled to find the words, clearly amazed. "My goodness, I'm speechless, honey. You both look stunning. You've grown so much and are so beautiful. I'm incredibly proud of both you and Brittany. I wish I could be there beside you right now." Karen kept pulling the phone away from her ear to look at the photos of her daughters, whom she missed dearly. Her maternal heart ached with longing and regret. She hastily wiped her teary eyes, focusing on the details of the pictures. "Listen, Ashley, why are you both dressed up like that? You're not both going to prom, are you?" she asked, perplexed. Ashley had successfully piqued her mom's interest and was now poised to flaunt it. "No, Mom, it's even better than prom. Remember that annual soiree you were always envious of but never got invited to? That grandiose summer evening gala hosted by Sedgwick and McTaggart?" Karen immediately recalled. "Yes, of course, I do. That ball was always the social event of the year. Gosh, I'd give anything to attend that reception. Only the most influential and glamorous people in the entire state get invited." Karen's voice carried a wistful tone. "I've always longed for the chance to don a beautiful evening gown and mingle with the social elite. It would be a dream come true." Karen sighed sentimentally before snapping back to reality. "Oh my goodness, did you and Brittany land jobs as hostesses or waitresses at that party? Wow, this is incredible. I'm so proud of both of you. Just imagine, my daughters will be there at the reception, mingling with all those high society folks," Karen exclaimed, marveling at the picture that unfolded before her. No, Mom. Brittany and I aren't working as staff. We're invited guests," Ashley shared with her mother, the secret they had with Brittany brimming with pride and excitement. "And what's more, we'll be seated at the main table because Dad is the guest of honor at the event. It's a surprise for him, but the organizers will give him special recognition. Isn't that super cool? I'll even be one of those taking part in the ceremony." "Oh my, Mom," Karen interjected, her displeasure evident. "I'm just unsure if modeling is the right path for Brittany. I believe she'd benefit more from pursuing something more meaningful." Ashley bit her tongue to prevent herself from losing her temper and blurting out something regrettable. She turned away from her cell phone and took a deep breath, trying to regain her composure. Afterward, she returned the cell phone to her ear and continued speaking, disregarding the interruption. "Brittany's modeling career has really helped her, Mom. She's much less shy now and exudes confidence and composure that she didn't have before. She's finally discovered her true self, her capabilities, and what she's truly passionate about. Sometimes, she even takes charge in the studio or suggests creative themed poses for her shoots. Mom, let's be real, Brittany was never a standout student and always saw herself as a failure, thinking her future held nothing good. But now, she's poised to become a top-tier fashion model before finishing high school, with a bank account even you'd be proud of. And yes, Mom, I said that I also model, but it's not my passion. Brittany and I do fashion shows together, but I mainly serve as support, complimenting Brittany's looks or showcasing different outfits. The best part, Brittany and I have grown close, helping each other out and collaborating. Plus, I'm making good money enough to save for college. Don't worry, I still enjoy school and maintain good grades. I'm even taking extra classes to graduate early. For college, I still have an average, but I'm a bit concerned about chemistry this year. It's a tough class, but I need to ace it for veterinary school. Ashley remembered something else and brightened up again, even giggling. Oh, Mom, you won't believe this, Brittany, and I get to keep some of the outfits from our shows and shoots. So now I have a really cool wardrobe. Can you imagine? I'm one of the most stylish girls in class now, not some geek. Many of the girls who used to think they were too cool are asking me for fashion tips, and some even want my autograph. Isn't it funny, albeit a bit nauseating? So, Mom, I'm almost popular. And the best part? Guys are starting to notice me. Ashley giggled. All this news greatly disturbed Karen, who had always struggled to achieve some level of recognition in society. She herself didn't know exactly what, but some kind of recognition. She left her family to pursue personal recognition, but it seemed her family members achieved success without her. What further aggravated the situation for Karen was that they achieved such stunning success seemingly effortlessly. Karen sighed heavily. Baby, I'm glad everything's going well with you and your sister. By the way, though I'm hesitant to ask, how's Jake? Is he okay? Ashley took a deep breath and glanced at the clock, knowing Jake and Fona would arrive soon. She didn't want to rush discussing Jake's situation, fearing she wouldn't have enough time, but feeling confident she could share Jake's update with her mother, Ashley continued. Well, Mom, surprisingly, Jake has turned things around. You know he was quite wild even before you left, and after that, he continued drinking and partying even more with his friends. For a while, he completely lost control. Eventually, Dad got really angry and demanded he quit partying and either get a job or go back to school. Well, he told Dad off. So, eventually, Dad kicked him out, telling him not to return until he found a job. Dad even had to call the cops a couple of times to get him out. Mother couldn't believe her ears. What? Your idiot father threw my son out? How dare he? I'll have Tom contact a lawyer and sue that scoundrel, Karen raged, clutching the phone and seething with anger. Well, good luck with that, Mom, Ashley said with a hint of irony. She knew her mother always favored Jake, letting him get away with anything, and Ashley knew Karen supported his antics by giving him money whenever he asked. In fact, she thought Jake was very lucky he never got into serious trouble. All this occurred a year and a half ago, Mom, and since then, Jake and Dad have reconciled. Jake relied on his friends for a while, but even they grew weary of supporting his laziness and kicked him out. He spent some time living on the streets, but eventually realized he didn't like that lifestyle, especially seeing us doing well. So, one day, Jake apologized to Dad and expressed his desire to come home. Dad maintained his get-a-job-first stance, so Jake found work on a roofing crew. After that, he returned home, but Dad insisted he contribute to living expenses to teach him responsibility. Ashley chuckled. It was amusing hearing him complain about his tough job and expenses, but Dad always said that's how the real world operates, and Jake needed to adapt. This continued until Fona entered the scene. Don't tell me Dad has a new girlfriend, Karen was indignant. Who's Fona? Ashley laughed. No, Mom, Fona is Dad's personal assistant. She's sharp-tongued and won't tolerate objections. Dad calls her his cool boss. Despite being only 22, she's competent and reliable. They met at a conference in Minneapolis. Fona approached him, shook his hand, and advised him to hire her for organizing trips, booking tickets, and managing expenses if he wanted real success. Impressed by her no-nonsense attitude, Dad hired Fona on the spot. Now she lives with us, and Dad jokes about having his own harem. It's hilarious, Ashley laughed. Fona has been crucial in Dad's career development. She's like my big sister, and we all adore her. Oh, Mom, Fona is a real stunner from Norway. She's 5'7" with a trendy haircut, short blonde hair, and piercing light blue eyes. Poor Jake fell for her immediately, but Fona made it clear she wouldn't date someone without direction. Suddenly, Jake had newfound motivation. Ashley's tone turned serious as she shared the latest about her brother. And now, the big news. Mom, brace yourself. 4 months ago, Jake enlisted in the Air Force and will soon head to language school in Monterey, California. Well, I think so, Ashley replied. What language school? Russian, Karen gasped in shock. It was already beyond her comprehension. Chuckling quietly at her mother's reaction, Ashley remarked, "Isn't it wild? Jake is currently stationed at Lackland Air Force Base, waiting for clearance. So, Dad asked him to come home and attend a party in his honor. Oh, and Fona started treating him more gently, though she still won't admit she's with Jake. But we girls can tell she's fallen for him too. Fona is not seeing anyone else, and they spend hours on the phone whenever they can. Jake is so smitten. And get this, he plans to finish language school, go to college, earn a degree, and become an officer. Can you believe it, Mom? My always crazy brother is now a military officer. For those who knew him before, this sounds like utter nonsense. Love sure makes you do strange things, doesn't it, Mom?" Ashley smiled, gesturing with her slender stiletto heel during their conversation about her brother's future plans. Suddenly, a baritone voice singing The Impossible Dream echoed in the background. Ashley laughed, leapt off the bed, and dashed into the hallway. "Mom, you've got to hear this," she exclaimed into the phone, extending it towards the male voice. Simultaneously, female voices joined in with wolf howls and giggles. Then Brittany's laughter rang out. "Dad's singing my favorite song," Janice chimed in. "Don't quit your day job, Dad," Ashley teased. "Why don't you take that act on the road? The bus leaves in 10 minutes. John's voice, filled with mock indignation, broke through the laughter of the girls. "Girls, you're eliminating me. No respect in my own family. I've had it. You're all off my Christmas list." Another burst of laughter followed by a chorus of "We love you, Daddy," and reassurance from the man. "They're back on the list." Ashley resumed her conversation, returning to the phone. Ashley continued to giggle. "Dad's a riot. He sings when he's happy or nervous, and we always egg him on. It's our little game with him." That's all Karen could manage, unable to say more. Subconsciously, she hoped her family was still suffering without her, but seeing they were thriving, she fell silent, feeling somewhat dazed. Ashley picked up the thread of the conversation. "Dad doesn't know he'll be the guest of honor tonight, but he's already a bit nervous. He and Jack McTaggart will play a couple of guitar duets with the band. You know how Dad is with his blues guitar, right? Since he and Jack became buddies, they've been jamming almost every week, strumming their guitars and sharing a few beers. Mom, you've got to hear their jokes about becoming rock stars soon. They're actually pretty good, though, but they jam just for fun. Tonight's their first public gig, and I bet it'll be a blast. Just picture Dad in a tuxedo, rocking out on stage." Ashley grinned, imagining the scene. Upon hearing this surprising news, Karen was taken aback once more. "Ashley, what are you saying? Your dad and John McTaggart are pals. Did I hear that right? John McTaggart? How? Why?" Ashley smiled inwardly with a hint of mischief. She knew her mother held the McTaggart family in high esteem for their wealth and influence. She also recalled her mother's dream of meeting them in person. Now, Ashley's dad and Jack McTaggart not only met but practically became best buddies. Ashley also appreciated that the affluent and renowned head of the family insisted that members of the Mercer family address him simply as Jack rather than the formal Mr. McTaggart. In person, Jack turned out to be quite pleasant and played a pivotal role in John's writing career's early stages. "Yes, Mom, the same John or Jack, as his close pals call him McTaggart," confirmed Ashley. "It all began when Dad wrote a couple of articles about surviving and rebuilding life after a traumatic event like losing everything when your cheating spouse leaves you for someone else. When a couple of small magazines bought his articles for publication, Dad was over the moon. Then, I think Jack read Dad's articles, contacted him, and asked him to deliver a motivational speech at a McTaggart Corporation employee meeting. Dad nearly had a heart attack when he got Jack's offer. He prepared a talk based on his articles and delivered it at the meeting. The speech was a hit, and he received lots of warm feedback and gratitude, leading Jack to hire him again, this time to speak at the company's annual shareholders meeting. After that success, Dad started getting offers to speak at other meetings from various companies, recommended by the board of directors. Everything fell into place from then on. Dad started writing more and more. His articles got published in bigger and more prestigious magazines, and he eventually decided to quit his job to focus full-time on writing and speaking engagements. Jack kept introducing Dad to important people. They started hanging out more and soon discovered they both loved playing blues and rock guitar. Their shared love for music brought Dad and him even closer, and they've been friends ever since. Ashley paused, allowing her mother to digest everything she had just heard. It was quite a turn of events in their lives. Your father is a writer now. Seriously? An author? A published writer? Your father, my ex-husband, is in magazines now. A bewildered Karen grappled with the paradoxical idea of her once underachieving ex-husband suddenly finding success. She secretly hoped it didn't pay too well. Meanwhile, sounds of activity drifted up from the first floor of the house. Guests had arrived. There was the muffled chatter of conversation and light laughter. A new deep male voice stood out amidst the others, along with a much softer female voice. Ashley watched Janice leave Brittany's room and head downstairs, likely to greet the new arrivals as hostess. Suddenly, Ashley recalled a task on tonight's agenda that had slipped her mind. Mom, I'll have to leave soon. Jack and Mona McTaggart are already here, along with photographers for the newspaper's gossip column and the special photo album they produce and sell every year. There's an elaborate photo spread capturing the enchanted moments guests spend at their summer evening affair. Personally, the grandiosity makes me nauseous, but I believe the sales of this album raise significant funds for charity. So, in the end, it serves a noble purpose, and we, the participants, bask in the warmth and goodwill there, almost feeling like celestial beings, she snorted. Ashley's voice carried a fair amount of sarcasm as she found the event excessively pretentious, catering unnecessarily to the vanity and narcissism of its attendees. Nevertheless, she couldn't help but feel a sense of pride that her father's accomplishments had suddenly elevated their family to a level of social status deserving of respect, especially from her estranged mother. Karen swiftly defended the high society tradition. Oh, Ashley, don't underestimate this. It's a great honor to be featured in this album and to know you were part of a historic event. You and Brittany should be thrilled to be the guests of honor at such a grand gathering. And since you'll be seated at the main table, your photos will grace nearly every page. I've secretly bought one of these albums almost every year, and this year I'll proudly show off a photo of Jake, you, and Brittany, and say, look at these special people. They're my children, just imagine. I'm actually quite envious of you, but at the same time, I'm immensely proud. I'll definitely be ordering several copies of this year's album as soon as they're available. Okay, Mom, Ashley replied absent-mindedly, then recalled something else. Dad was supposed to attend a writing event in New York over Labor Day weekend, and Brittany, Janice, Fona, and I were planning to join him. Maybe then we could see you. I'd really like that, and I'm sure I could convince Brittany to come too, though she's still very angry with you for leaving. Maybe we'll bring Janice along so you two can meet. You'd probably also like to see Dad, just in case, the daughter clarified. Oh, sweetheart, that's a fantastic idea, Karen agreed. Let's consider the options. I really want to see you and Brittany. As for your dad and his girlfriend, I'm not sure it's a good idea. There's been too much pain on both sides. However, I'd love for you to meet Tom. After all, he's your stepfather now. Upon hearing the last statement, Ashley made a gagging gesture with her tongue hanging out, pretending to be disgusted. Well, no, Mom. I still have nightmares about you and your Tom snuggling up. So the only way I'd meet him and you is if Dad and Janice are there too. I think that's only fair. Karen wasn't pleased with her daughter's reaction, but tried to conceal her emotions to keep the conversation going. Okay, let's see how things unfold, Ashley. But let's not lose sight of our shared goal to finally reunite. I can't wait to see and hug you and Brittany again, so let's focus on that, honey. By the way, coincidentally, the New York Literary Guild is hosting a Meet the Books Day on Labor Day weekend, and Tom is using his influence to secure tickets for us to attend. I'll push him to get tickets for all of us, the mother assured, enthralled by the upcoming prestigious event. Karen eagerly shared her plans with her daughter. This ball is shaping up to be quite an esteemed affair. Can you imagine, Ashley? Many renowned writers will be there, some signing their books and engaging with readers and fans. Perhaps you'll even get a selfie with one of the famous authors. You should see how excited Tom is. Need I say more? Did you know David Valls himself promised to attend, and Tom is really keen to meet him? David is an up-and-coming writer, but Tom insists his debut book is sensational and absolutely brilliant. Yes, Mom, I've heard of David Valls. Actually, I've met him several times. I agree, his work is truly remarkable. I read his book some time ago and found it quite well, thought-provoking. Have you read his book yourself? Ashley's jab caught Karen off guard, but she chose not to react. No, to be honest, I haven't read it. It's not really my type of reading, but Tom, oh heck, he's a big fan. Ashley chuckled, almost about to comment on how the book lacked enough pictures for her mom's literary tastes, but she held back. Mom, do you have a hardcover or paperback copy of David's book handy? Karen glanced around and then went into Tom's office. Yes, we have the hardcover book right here on Tom's desk. Why do you ask, dear? Look at the back inside of the dust jacket and tell me what you see. Ah, here's a photo of the author of the book. Oh dear, it's John. Oh my goodness, this is a photo of your father that I took about 7 or 8 years ago. Oh Lord, how can this be? It can't be. David Valls is your father, not David Valls. Please tell me if this is some sort of mistake. Ashley doubled over with laughter, trying not to choke as the irony of the situation sank in. There's no denying it, Mom. Yes, yes, and yes. David Valls is actually John Mercer. When Dad decided to pursue writing, he wanted to keep his writing ambitions separate for various reasons. So he created a pseudonym and published his first novel under the name David Valls. It's quite amusing, Mom. Ashley barely managed to speak into the phone, wiping away tears of laughter. Just think, your new husband's favorite author is your own ex-husband. It's absolutely hilarious. I haven't laughed this hard in ages. They could make a movie about this. Unbelievable, Mom. This is just too funny. Karen just sat there, looking devastated, and finally said quietly, crap. Ashley already had to go, so ending the conversation, she said, still chuckling, I have to go. Mom, I'll send you my email address, and you can send me yours, and we'll agree on our plans for Labor Day weekend. I'm so glad you called, and I really want to see you again. I love you, Mom. Phew, this is still too funny. In some inexpressibly gloomy voice, Karen asked, say hi to your brother and sister for me, and give them my number so they can call me when they get a chance. I love you too, Ashley. The eldest daughter turned off the phone and went downstairs, still giggling to herself at the unexpected consequences of the recent turn of events. Preening in front of the large mirror, she prepared to take photos for the social onlookers. Ashley knew that tonight she would have no problems with her dazzling smile, but only she would know the reason for her excellent mood. Karen continued to sit in deep thought for a long time, staring blankly at the book lying on the table in front of her until she came to the clear realization that karma is truly a vengeful cow. She didn't have time to completely move away from the conversation with Ashley when Tom almost trotted into the room. Karen, you will never believe what happened. I just received a card from David Valls. I wrote to him, telling him how much I enjoyed his book and how much I was looking forward to seeing him in September. And so he answered me, and he wrote the message with his own hand. Can you imagine? Wait, I'll read it to you now. Dear Tom, you have no idea how glad I am that you read and like my first novel. Although you may not know it, it was you who provided a very positive influence on my life and career. I don't know if I can ever thank you enough for this, so I look forward to thanking you in person. You have lifted a huge weight off my shoulders and provided a much-needed spark for my personal growth as a person and a writer. So I am deeply indebted to you. Best wishes, David Valls. Tom, in his ecstatic joy, continued to babble excitedly about how he must have met David once because his photograph in the book looked a little familiar to him, but he couldn't remember where he had seen the now popular writer. Now her husband couldn't wait to meet him in person, hoping to become a good friend to his new favorite author. All this time of intense joy and bustle around her, Karen continued to become more and more gloomy and depressed as Tom's words sunk deeper and deeper into her mind. Finally, in a creaky voice from the depths of her parched throat, she exhaustedly squeezed out, "Shut up, Tom. Just shut up." Well, folks, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the content as much as I enjoyed making it. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Drop a comment below with your thoughts and tell me your stories. I'd love to hear them. Cheers, and see you in the next one.